Welcome back to Stamps Old World UK, the channel where we explore historic postage stamps from around the world and uncover their real market value in today's US dollars. And in today's video, we are focusing on a truly iconic and highly collectible United States postage stamp, the classic 4-cent White House stamp featuring Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson, a stamp that holds deep historical importance, strong collector demand, and fascinating value variations depending on condition, printing, and preservation. This beautiful stamp was issued by the United States Post Office in 1937 as part of a commemorative series honoring famous American landmarks. And what makes this particular stamp especially unique is the pairing of two Confederate generals, Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson, shown in oval portraits on either side of the White House, officially known at that time as the Executive Mansion. And this design alone has made the stamp one of the most discussed and researched U.S. issues among philatelists, historians, and serious collectors worldwide. The stamp is printed in a deep blue-green color on cream-colored paper with a face value of 4 cents, and it was produced using the engraving printing method, which gives it sharp lines, fine detail, and a classic appearance that collectors admire. And because it was printed in large quantities, millions were originally issued. But despite that high print run, surviving examples in top condition are becoming harder to find every year due to age, handling, poor storage, and natural paper degradation. When it comes to today's market value in US dollars, the price of this stamp can vary dramatically depending on its condition, centering, gum quality, and whether it has been used or remains mint. And this is where many collectors are surprised, because while a heavily used or damaged copy may sell for only a few dollars, a well-preserved example can be worth significantly more in the modern philatelic market. A used copy of the 1937 4-cent White House stamp with light, clean cancellation and no major flaws typically sells today for around $5 to $15 US, depending on eye appeal and centering, while copies with heavy cancellation marks, tears, creases, or thinning may be worth closer to $2 to $4, mainly as a filler for collections rather than as an investment-grade piece. Mint examples without gum disturbance are far more desirable, and a mint hinged copy in good condition usually sells in the range of $20 to $40 US, while a mint never hinged example with original gum, strong color, and well-centered margins can command prices between $60 and $120 US in today's market. And in exceptional cases, especially when professionally graded, prices can go even higher. The highest values are seen in superbly centered stamps that have been certified by professional grading services because centering is critical for U.S. collectors, and a perfectly centered stamp with fresh gum, no faults, and sharp engraving detail can reach values of $200 US or more at auction, particularly when competition among advanced collectors drives bidding higher. Another factor that affects value is authenticity, because this stamp has been widely studied and occasionally altered or re-gummed examples appear on the market, so collectors always prefer stamps that come with expert certificates, especially when investing larger sums, and having proper documentation can easily double the confidence and resale potential of the stamp. From a historical perspective, this stamp represents a moment in American philatelic history when the U.S. government acknowledged the legacy of Confederate figures in a national stamp issue, something that makes it both historically significant and culturally complex. And this dual importance keeps demand strong among both stamp collectors and history enthusiasts. For collectors watching this video today, if you own this stamp, the best advice is to carefully examine its condition under good lighting, check for original gum on the back if mint, avoid touching it with bare fingers, and store it in a protective stamp mount or album, because even small improvements in preservation can greatly influence future value. As the global stamp market continues to evolve, Classic U.S. commemorative stamps like this one remain stable collectibles, especially when they combine historical importance, strong visual design, and long-term collector interest. And while prices may fluctuate, high-quality examples are likely to remain desirable for many years to come. Next up, the United States 2-cent George Washington postage stamp, a stamp that may look simple at first glance, but carries enormous historical importance and surprising value potential. This striking red stamp, featuring the profile portrait of George Washington, was issued by the United States Postal Office in the early 20th century, most famously in 1917, and later reissued in similar designs, and it played a vital role in everyday American mail during a time when the nation was growing rapidly both economically and culturally, making this stamp one of the true workhorses of U.S. postal history and a cornerstone for collectors worldwide. The design shows George Washington facing left, surrounded by a detailed oval frame with classic ornamental elements, and the bold red color was chosen not only for visibility, but also for durability in mass circulation. And the stamp was produced using the engraved printing method, which gives it sharp lines, fine detail, and a level of craftsmanship that modern stamps rarely achieve, adding to its lasting appeal among collectors. Millions of these 2-cent Washington stamps were printed and used for standard postal rates, which means many examples still exist today. But condition is everything when it comes to value, because stamps that were used heavily or stored improperly over decades can suffer from fading, tears, creases, thinning, or heavy cancellation marks that significantly reduce their market price. In today's stamp market, a used 2-cent Washington stamp with an average cancellation and visible wear typically sells for around $1 to $3, making it an affordable entry point for beginner collectors, while cleaner used examples with lighter cancels, strong color, and no major faults can reach $5 to $10, depending on centering and overall eye appeal. Mint examples are far more desirable, and a mint-hinged copy in good condition generally sells today in the range of $15 to $30, while a mint never-hinged example with original gum, bright red color, and clean margins can easily command prices between $40 and $80 in today's collector market, especially when demand is strong. The most valuable examples are those with exceptional centering, untouched original gum, and professional certification, because centering plays a huge role in U.S. stamp grading, and a superbly centered, mint never-hinged 2-cent Washington stamp that has been graded by a recognized authority can reach values of $150 to $300, or even more in competitive auctions. There are also notable varieties and printing differences within the 2-cent Washington issues, including variations in perforation size, shade differences, and plate flaws. And some of these rarer varieties are worth significantly more than standard examples, which is why collectors are always encouraged to examine their stamps carefully or consult an expert before selling or trading. Historically, this stamp represents more than just postage, because George Washington symbolizes the foundation of the United States, and stamps like this helped reinforce national identity during a period of global conflict and change, making it a favorite not only among stamp collectors, but also among history enthusiasts who appreciate tangible links to the past. If you own this stamp today, proper storage is essential, and it should be kept in a protective mount or acid-free album away from moisture, heat, and direct sunlight, because preserving original gum and color can dramatically improve long-term value, and even small steps in care can make a noticeable difference over time. As we look at the stamp market today, classic U.S. definitive stamps like the 2-cent Washington continue to hold steady interest, especially in high-grade condition. And while common examples remain affordable, premium quality pieces are becoming harder to find, which supports their long-term collectible appeal. Next up, the United States 3-cent George Washington postage stamp, a stamp that played a crucial role in U.S. postal history and remains highly respected among collectors today. This elegant purple 3-cent stamp featuring George Washington was first issued in the early 20th century, most notably beginning in 1908, and it was created to meet the standard domestic letter rate in the United States at that time, which meant it was used daily by millions of Americans, making it one of the most important and widely circulated definitive stamps in U.S. history. The design shows a finely engraved left-facing portrait of George Washington inside an oval frame, surrounded by classical laurel leaves symbolizing honor and leadership, and the rich violet or purple color gives the stamp a distinguished appearance that still stands out more than a century later, especially when the color remains strong and unfaded. Because these stamps were printed in extremely large quantities, many examples still exist today, but their market value varies greatly depending on condition, centering, gum quality, and overall visual appeal. And this is where collectors often discover that what looks like a common stamp can sometimes be worth much more than expected. In today's stamp market, a used 3-cent Washington stamp with a typical cancellation and average wear usually sells for around $1 to $3, while cleaner used examples with lighter cancels, good centering, and no tears or creases can reach values of $5 to $10, especially if the color remains deep and attractive. Mint examples are more desirable, and a mint hinged copy in good condition generally sells in the range of $15 to $30 in today's market, while a mint never hinged example with fresh original gum, strong purple color, and balanced margins can command prices between $40 and $90, depending on demand and centering quality. The most valuable examples are superbly centered stamps with untouched gum that have been professionally graded and certified, because centering is extremely important for U.S. collectors, and a top-grade 3-cent Washington stamp can reach values of $150 to $250 or more at auction, especially when collectors compete for high-quality examples. There are also several important varieties within the 3-cent Washington issues, including differences in perforation size, paper type, watermark orientation, and shade variations, and some rare varieties and printing errors are worth significantly more than standard issues, which is why careful examination is always recommended before selling or trading. From a historical point of view, this stamp represents a period when the United States relied on engraved definitive stamps as the backbone of its postal system, and George Washington's image served as a constant reminder of national identity, stability, and tradition during a time of rapid social and economic change. If you own this stamp today, proper care is essential to protect its value, and it should be stored in a high-quality stamp mount or acid-free album, away from moisture, heat, and sunlight, because preserving the original color and gum can make a major difference in long-term market value. As the stamp collecting market continues to evolve, classic U.S. definitive stamps like the 3-cent George Washington remain steady and reliable collectibles, particularly in high-grade condition. And while common examples remain affordable, premium quality stamps are becoming increasingly scarce. Thank you for watching Stamps Old World UK, where we bring history to life through stamps and uncover their real market value in today's dollars. And if you enjoyed this detailed look at the 3-cent George Washington stamp, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with fellow collectors. Because